AI Picks Podcast, episode 5. Back at it again. I'm Dave, and with me, as always, is Barrett and Carrie. How you doing, boys?
Good. How are you, man?
Good.
We're good. I'm doing good. I think, I don't know if it's possible, Barrett, to turn off the eye thing for this episode, or if we gotta leave it on, because it was uncanny valleying me the whole episode.
Dude, I loved
it is the AI Picks Podcast.
Yeah,
so
I want to explain that.
Turn it
I
off.
want to explain that. Now, also, Barrett, I don't
I'm switching
know.
it off in 3, 2,
Watch his
1.
eyes. Oh, his eyes are back to
Whoa!
normal.
So this is where I've been looking.
So someone commented and said that Barrett doesn't look at the camera enough. So Barrett took it upon himself to use AI for the last episode to have it always redirect his eyes at the camera via AI. So go back and
Unseeable
watch
now.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Now,
I didn't want to say it
now
during
you
the
spoiled
episode.
it.
I didn't want to say it during
I
the
think
episode.
I
wanted
alluded
go
to
back.
it a little bit, but then I backed
Yeah,
up.
it was clever. Yeah.
I also would say I stopped my recording and started a new one. You don't need to, but I did, my local. But that's all right if you didn't. Okay, so this week we decided to watch a newer movie. We will have AI pick our next video, our movie to watch, but we did want to see The Killer. Yeah, at the end of this, we'll do that. We wanted to see The Killer, the new David Fincher movie, right? David or Dave?
Yeah,
I don't know
David. I think David Fincher.
David
and so we
Fincher.
said we're gonna go off the rails a little bit, and we're just gonna watch a movie we want to watch and talk about it. And so we told you last week what we're gonna watch. We went ahead and watched it. And Carrie, what's your summary? What is this film?
Paris is beautiful in the fall, and there's a dude who's deep in his thoughts, killing people, but not doing it well. Kind of
he
screwing
messes
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spoiler. Obviously, it's a spoiler cast, guys. We
Yeah,
told you to watch it. If
spoiler
you didn't watch
cast.
it, go watch it and come back. Right? That's gonna be.
I have to say, this is another one of these episodes where I timed something. That opening scene of this was like 13 minutes, basically, of him talking about like his weird philosophies on everything. Like it was about,
Dude, but
being
I
a
loved it.
murder. No, it's. I was
freaking
wondering.
loved it.
This
I
is
don't
my
know why.
question. I'll post. I know. I figured you might. Yeah. But here's the thing: was it lazy or was it artistic? Was it exposition just to get you in the frame of mind, or was it like an artistic choice?
think
That's
it
what
was
I couldn't
artistic.
decipher.
What do you think, Barrett?
No, I'm kind of with you with this like internal battle. I like almost come into it with like, David Fincher does another movie about killers or whatever. In some ways, like with The Social Network, I was like, let's not cover that. But at the same time, it seems like this is a kind of a tread topic of David Fincher's. Like Zodiac, and I don't know. It just feels like pretty specific, like Mindhunter. These kinds
I
of.
never saw Mindhunter.
It's very similar territory. 7, right? Yeah. And so there's like kind of a long list of these movies that like I love them all. And the show, obviously Mindhunter, is like it's just so palatable, and I almost find myself like maybe I shouldn't be so entranced by it. I'm almost like worried because I am. It's like I'm like Dave, where I'm like, man, should I like just a movie about killing or whatever this much? It's just sort of like this thing is so dang easy to watch. Like I can't help myself.
I loved it so much. This is my favorite movie we've reviewed so far. Like as far as like actual.
I totally, completely could not unequivocally disagree more with that, but.
No, I get
but
it.
yeah,
I get
sure.
Like,
it was so enjoyable.
You prefer a space opera, just a silent.
Well, I'm saying as
space
far as
opera.
just like what's greater in my mind is something like that. But like that's totally unfair. It's totally unfair. This is not trying to do that.
This is like much more of a popcorn movie in the sense that like it's very watchable. It's very like there's a lot of action in it. There's a lot of what you like, Dave, which is just straightforward. Except for the 14 minutes of him talking at the start. There's a lot of action, a lot going on, a lot of
the way he mixed it in with the soundtrack. Where like the sound, he's got his earbuds in, and the soundtrack, like he's doing this monologue, but then the soundtrack brings in these songs.
Super immersive.
I really loved that. I don't know. It felt newer to me. Like
so
I
did you
seen
catch?
That much.
Did you catch that
agree,
juxtaposition? Yeah. The Smiths being kind of like the quintessential
So
early emo. Emotional. Yeah. Oh, if I can't love you, I want to die and be hit by a bus. And then him being a cold, calculated killer that has no feelings, right?
And he's listening to emo.
And he's listening to like this emotional. The Smiths, the most iconic, like super emotional band of all time, right?
Right, pretty much, yeah.
I don't know. To me, like that, I was so, and I think there's so much to be said for sound quality and his voice too. Like, however they
Totally.
recorded his voice, it was like mesmerizing me how good he sounded. And
It is an amazing amount. I mean, it is crazy how good the audio is on a movie like this. Like, just I was just noticing on just your average shot where just a car is passing by, like you're hearing that car crossing over the like ice and the like little bits of slush and whatnot, and you're hearing every single little
The
detail.
sound
It's
design.
amazing how much that immerses you into the whole thing. It was great.
I would want to rewatch it, honestly. Like, I'd love to see this in a theater with better sound. Because
There-
it's exactly
Yeah, I'm
that.
with you. Yeah,
There
yeah,
is,
That, that would be an awesome theater movie.
I looked this up on Spotify. There's like a nice killer Netflix soundtrack playlist here with all the songs, Dave, if you want to kind of get in the mood.
But there was something. I mean, Carrie, did you not find that kind of like the soundtrack in the beginning, the mixing of the songs and him doing that?
The fact that it was his listening of it. It wasn't
He was
like
listening
the
to it. It was his
soundtrack.
earbuds.
Yeah.
It wasn't
I
the soundtrack.
felt,
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know why, I felt like a lot of it was forced. I felt like it was trying to be quirky. It didn't get me at first, and I didn't really love the movie as a whole overall. I thought it was like a less good version of a similar movie I'd seen before, if that makes sense. And I don't know why. The one thing that I did love about this movie, thinking back and going back on it, I think the thing that made it really unique and interesting was how, there's moments in this movie, right, where he encounters people and he's so good at his craft, right, after the initial issue where he missed, right, or he didn't miss, somebody got in the way, that everybody knew they were toast, right? They knew they were dead.
They knew.
And how each person distinctly had a different reaction to that, right?
Totally,
Every
yeah.
single one of them. And that was probably the most riveting parts of this whole movie to me, was the 10, 15
Totally.
minutes between each one of these people. One person, fought him to the death, even though we all knew the guy was going to win the whole time,
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender. The other people accepted it and helped him. Other people lived in, like there was so much difference, right? People accepted it. Some people still tried to get one over on him. Other people couldn't believe it would actually happen, and then it did. And then ultimately at the end where it didn't even happen, it kind of fooled us.
Yeah.
Where he didn't actually kill that guy at the end.
I really thought he would kill that guy.
I thought he would too, which that was definitely subverting expectations for real.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a lot of it did have to do with like it was kind of meticulous. The filmmaking and the audio were so meticulous, so clean, so well done.
And you're such an audio guy too, so I could see
am.
why that would be like something
That's
that would get
Barrett's
you going.
fault, though. That's Barrett's fault that I'm an audio guy. He turned me into one in 2012. But no, it's not just the audio, but like visually, it was meticulous. Like every shot was really clean and nice, and looking through the scope was like very cool. I don't know why that. I found that so cool. There were so many.
Like
visual
I'm
things
with
about
you.
it.
There's almost just like enough. You add enough of these layers of care. People who just really care about this aspect of it, that it's like, man,
It was so
I guess
clean.
that's enough for me. Like even if there isn't
The story
more
wasn't
than
groundbreaking.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's nothing.
You're right, Carrie.
like,
I've seen
really
the
blowing
story
my mind.
before, but here's my question for you, Carrie. Were you doing something else while watching it, or were you literally staring
Yeah.
at the screen? Because
I
if
was
you were
I was
staring
I
at the
was
screen,
zoning out. I was zoning
were you
out a
on your
lot during
phone?
this
Were
one.
you, like,
A little
listening
bit,
on
yeah,
eBay?
because I was a little bit honestly on this one because I will say there because there were moments where example that 14 minutes where it was just going on and he was just prepping. I understood what he was trying to say like within 2 or 3 minutes. Like I understand it takes preparation. Which was interesting. I thought that was a really cool take they took. Was they focused on the preparation to be this cold-blooded killer. Because
Which
you only
again
usually
you've seen before in American Psycho with Christian Bale.
It's true. Yeah, you
You've seen
see the
it.
preparation. So it's not groundbreaking,
That wasn't
but
unique, yeah, and that's my point though. It wasn't that made it great. It was like what Barrett was saying, the care in the actual
And I
the shots,
honestly-
the audio and things like that
makes
you
me
weren't
kind of
paying
want to go
attention
back
to.
and watch and think about that because it really. One thing that I noticed is somebody who is not hasn't been in this field, isn't somebody who thinks about this stuff that you guys are thinking about as much, is like the fight scene between him and that big dude, right, in
Yeah.
Florida. Like it was so dark. I could
Yeah.
not see half of it, if that makes any sense.
Wow.
And that was tough. That was one thing that I visibly noticed personally. I was like,
This is
it
the
seemed
problem.
so well done. Like I could see aspects of it, but I was having a hard time following it because of how dark it was.
This is a problem with modern day Hollywood, honestly, and the fact that they expect everyone to have an OLED television. and they don't. Like, and if you don't have I was watching it in my bedroom. I actually moved to the living room because there was a lot of really dark scenes that I knew I'd be able to see better on my OLED.
You had to turn all the lights off and stuff that I had on.
So I literally went and in the dark watched my OLED screen because I knew I'd have much more contrast ratio and I'd be able to pick up on what they wanted me to see, and that just made it a better experience for me.
I guess I'm lucky. Like, fight scenes, I've seen so many fight scenes in movies that are like the most boring part of any movie to me, and so when it comes up, it's like, okay, they're fighting. This is the boring part. Wait for it to be done. Okay, thank you. I could continue on. I don't know, just like, and I feel like in a movie like this, there might even be some intention behind, like, hey, it's dark. Like, they had to fight in this, dark situation. This is what it was like for them or something in this scenario. I would accept that as a reason behind that. But I agree. I think, like, they do grade these things on OLEDs, and they look amazing in their theater. And
to be a higher,
my crappy little TCL can't exactly see.
That makes a good point. What you said right there, that it was kind of almost intentional, because I would imagine to be a contract killer, most of your contract killing would be done in the middle of the night, where it's easier to get away with it. So maybe it was highlighting that. I don't know.
Yeah, but I could totally see the frustration with just like, well, I want to see I'm watching a movie, okay? Can you show me the picture? It makes sense.
I think that, if Carrie, you were to just give it another shot and turn off your lights, crank up the volume, you'd kind of, even if you didn't watch the whole thing, you'd maybe appreciate that first scene a little more.
I think what you were saying, Dave, like if he saw it in the cinema, just like Napoleon, like I think you might have a bit of a different like feel for it, because it just when it I was watching it on this TV here, and it pretty much fills my field of view, and like had the headphones on, and it was like, wow, I'm immersed in this. It was awesome.
Do you remember the movie like 20 years ago with Colin Farrell, like Payphone or something, where like their phone booth, where a lot of it is like from above, and he's getting these phone calls. Something I saw in the theater and liked quite a bit at the time. Too. Like, you're right. I think maybe seeing this in the theater with the proper lighting and the right screen and being more immersed in it probably could have helped. But I didn't dislike the movie. It just was like, to me, it felt like a B movie, like a B, like graded on a scale of F to A. Like B, like it was enjoyable. Wasn't anything I really loved, though. It wasn't something I left going.
Am I learning a lot? Like,
or was it something that I was like blown away by? No, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was not a new story, but like I thought Michael Fassbender did a great job, and I thought that the actual like the visuals and the audio were so clean and so nice that I couldn't look away. Like, but I was going into it not distracted at all, Carrie. I was like zoned in, fully focused on the thing, and I didn't want to zone out. And so I think for me, it was fun. It was, I can't get away from the fact that it is basically a movie I've seen before. It is. It literally is a movie I've seen before. This same exact plot. Like, why do we even make a movie that is the same movie again? Like, what are we doing? Like,
I feel like if I were David Fincher, I would struggle with that, in a lot of ways. Like, maybe he just knows that he's kind of like, well, of all the people in the world that might do this movie, I'm probably the person who should. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, he's just not happy with how anyone else did it, and he wanted to.
Yeah, and it's like, fair enough. And I like the whole, declining, like, the fact that it wasn't just like a hitman in his prime or something like that. The fact that he's making, errors, and he's like, I like the whole repetition of all his sort of ritual stuff at the beginning, because that's sort of setting the stage for like, this is what normal is supposed to be like, and then like as you go, you hear him like repeating things to himself that he doesn't even believe. He's just sort of like, wait,
his blood pressure or his heart rate monitor.
Yeah,
right. Because this is like 60.
I can't even deal with it anymore. And so the fact that you're seeing like you're basically seeing those like elements unravel throughout the movie, I guess, was kind of an interesting part that I liked.
He's coming unhinged, and I think the fact that he's coming unhinged gives you a level of uncertainty where I didn't know if he was going to.
Right, you don't know what he's going to do. Right,
I didn't know. Like, he took off his blood pressure. He's not doing it the way he normally would. He sits down with Tilda Swinton at the restaurant. How stupid was that? Like,
that's a good point. Like, it was very unexpected. Yeah,
that was
I would say in a lot of ways that. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
Karen.
go ahead. That probably was my favorite scene too. Was the Tilda Swinton scene? Like, just
I was gonna
the
totally
second
agree.
I saw her, I'm like, I know she's a good actress. But the second she started talking and their interaction, I'm like, oh, this is very interesting. Like,
She's
her
amazing.
accepting-
I was like, I forgot how amazing she was.
yeah,
until
she was so good
watching
at
this.
acting.
Scene.
I fully believed that she had accepted her fate, but the funny thing, she didn't. Like, she was still
Right,
playing the
she had
game, and
that.
even fooled me. And the whole premise is him, like, not trusting anything, right? Ever. Don't trust.
Yeah.
Even though it seemed like she had accepted and was just playing the part because it was her turn to go, because this is how the game's played or whatever. And then she was up against it up until the end and was gonna go try to kill him if she got a chance, and she didn't.
Yeah, what a
Yeah.
cool scene. Yeah.
Yeah, that scene, and I again visually, like out in the snow and stuff, when they're walking, it's just like, I'm telling you, like, you need to go into
It's
that
beautiful.
movie like just wanting to watch and listen and not worrying so much about the story, because there's something special about it.
Yeah, whether or not this is like everyone's thing, I mean, obviously every movie is heavily color graded. You know,
Yeah.
attention is being put digitally onto pretty much every part of the image. Like David Fincher does a lot of that. Like I remember sitting in on a color grading session for an episode of Mindhunter, and the colorist was talking about the notes that they get from David Fincher, and so David will get an iPad. He'll just have his iPad and just scribble a bunch of things all over the frame. Like, you can basically rest assured that like every single frame of whatever movie you're watching, whatever thing you're watching of his, has got just like 50 different elements about it that he had like particularly called out. I mean, it's insane. Like, this shadow side of this skin tone is like, shift this slightly more in this direct. I mean, it's
Well,
wild.
and it comes across though in the final
And
product.
it does.
It does.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly,
even Social
exactly.
Network
Like, you
was-
feel all of that.
Social Network was not like supposed to be visually beautiful, but it was.
That's
Yeah,
very
it was.
true.
Right. You're like, why
there
why
was-
can this movie be so pretty? Like, it doesn't
It
make
really
sense,
did.
but it,
Yeah,
it
that's a
just
very
is.
very much caught the romantic nature of like being at Harvard and being in college and in fall. Like, there is some romanticism to that. And
Yeah,
I
true.
think Social Network really, I don't even know how, but like it felt cold, it felt crisp, it felt
It did.
It felt
like you were
like
there in
you were
Boston
there,
or
yeah.
Yeah, like New Haven, where is that?
and that's something cool to come across to somebody like me who's not understanding probably what's going on visually or what David Fincher is even doing. I'm just feeling it.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
He's
Yeah,
at
it
Harvard.
is.
That is in Boston, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you definitely got that feeling, and I don't know, it was, I felt like, okay, so in the beginning, he's trying to kill this guy, and he misses the shot, he hits the prostitute or whatever, and he does the stereotypical, like, pro serial killer, like, hide everything perfectly, run away perfectly. I do enjoy that, like that.
Yeah.
Just like how
it's
meticulous.
palatable.
Yeah, how
There
meticulous
is-
he is about hiding his trail is so cool.
There is
Yeah, absolutely.
this film also does bring up the fact that whenever you're on a flight from now on, you got to wonder, because he went on a lot of flights quite frequently, and you wonder like who really is on this flight.
Who's next to me? That's
Yeah,
fast
exactly.
asleep? Yeah, is he a murderer or something? Yeah. Yeah, it was. I don't know. I don't know why I liked it. I can't even like quantify why I enjoyed it so much, but I really, really liked this movie. I mean, I really did. I just think part of it's because there's so many crappy movies coming out that when there's one that's solid, I'm like, oh, hey, a good film.
It did strike me as a movie I felt like 20, 25 years ago would have definitely been in the theaters and been probably fairly successful. Like, it would have been something me or you or we would watch like in high school and go, oh, this is a cool movie, man. You know, this is something.
But at the same time, you kind of get like Top Gun Maverick comes out, and it's like pretty much old Top Gun, you know, and it's almost like what people like about it, I think, is that like they're, you know, like how everything is self-referential now. Like everything is like, oh, it's a movie within a movie. We talk about ourselves and we wink at the camera, haha. Like I think a lot of people are getting sick of that, and so things like Maverick are like kind of cheesy, and yet that everyone's not like winking to the camera. They're playing it straight and like,
and plus,
you know,
and Tom
being
Cruise
within
was,
that character.
Tom Cruise was still a capable pilot too. Like he wasn't like 87 years old and couldn't do
Maverick
anything
was awesome.
anymore.
Totally. It
Well,
helps. It
yeah,
helps.
I mean, but part of that is like just in general, a lot of the self-referential movies that come out with the characters you knew and loved and respected and looked up to, like, they kind of are lame now, which we talked about like last week or 2 weeks ago. It's like Indiana Jones is all of a sudden like just a pathetic guy who can't get out of his chair properly, and then Han Solo gets,
and that could like very well be what happened. That could very well be what happens, obviously, to anybody who gets older, right?
Well,
but we don't need to see it in a movie.
Yeah,
just like let us.
We could skip that bit.
We could skip the last section.
Because you look at Luke Skywalker, they literally made him a dad who like abandoned his family and screwed over Kylo Ren and just sucked the milk out of alien nipples. Like that's the guy you looked forward to, and then I don't know, like
I do feel like you could
the
just
Maverick movie like let Tom Cruise be a baller, even though he was old, he was still destroying all the youngins.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I mean.
That was what
like
was so cool about it.
It is simply so. It is playing it so straight. There's nothing. There's no trickery. You know,
it's
and
like
I
earnest,
think that, like has
which
to
is
be
interesting,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's earnest. Exactly. It's earnest and just kind of playing it straight. Like there's no tricks going on, and so people are like, finally, something that's not trying to like be cheeky or whatever at every single turn. Like
a lot of the modern movies that they're doing with like Indiana Jones or Star Wars, they're just going to be kind of like the prequel they did, 25 years ago. They're just going to kind of be a separate thing from the originals. If that makes sense. It'll be something that people know happened, but they kind of just won't have it be a part of the iconic. What they remember.
Star Wars is a good one to bring up because I mean the latest ones. You're right. It's like the writers. When you watch a movie and you sense that the writer of this film is trying to like attack the work of the previous film's writers.
Johnson,
I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I like Rian Johnson, but he's like, that was a total.
he hated Star Wars and he directed a Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Or at
like.
least he hated like J.J. Abrams' one that he made or something, whatever it was. But you're right. Like you couldn't quite write. Yeah, you couldn't quite write that without hating Star Wars. I think you're right.
But it's a thing, like it's almost like you could make another movie set in space that's kind of like the opposite of Star Wars, but like then when you're coming into the Star Wars universe, I guess, and then changing it. I guess. I mean, there's got to be a reason why people are so nostalgic for the originals still to this day. That it's just the straightforward hero's tale. It could have been anybody, but that was the story they made. So.
Just like the way The Last Jedi, this isn't a Star Wars episode, but in The Last Jedi,
don't know how we got into this.
Luke walks into Jabba's palace and he's like now a baller, powerful Jedi. It's like Luke has arrived. Like, think of all the amazing things he's going to do after this film. And it turns out he just hid on an island and drank alien milk out of the alien nipple. Like, that's so frustrating.
It's like, that's why we end the hero's journey.
That's why there has to be
stopped.
Yeah, just let him be gone. I'd rather
be done.
have him just, like, we'll never hear of him again than...
Because I have a feeling, I'm not sure if this is right. I would be interested if anyone had actually seen, like, the original Star Wars in the cinema at the time. I wonder if that was a similar thing at the time. Because I think, like, 70s film was like crazy. I mean, like you get a lot of wild stuff coming out of that era, and like people were probably like, can we just see something like regular where someone just straightforward just goes through the universe and kind of is relatable or whatever, and it's just not trying to break my brain or like really it's not like a Cronenberg movie.
But maybe the solution of like a lot of where these sequels and everything are going to be more original movies like The Killer. Maybe they'll be on Netflix and not in the theaters, but stuff like this that might actually be will be some sort of a juxtaposition to the way movies are going, like a counter to it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, so Barrett, it seems like overall you enjoyed The Killer.
I did, yeah. Like I'm almost like I enjoyed it so much that I'm like, gosh, should I have?
Wait, I'm agreeing with Dave. This doesn't sound right.
Are we gonna rate it like
it.
on
That's
like five alien nipples? Like how many out of 5?
Listen, it was the formula and it was what you'd expect. It was like Ben Affleck and The Accountant, but it was better in like every way than that film. And there was so many moments where it didn't quite go down as I expected. Like, I'll say this, the Florida guy, right? Florida man, and they do take some digs at Florida. I took offense, of course. But the Florida man, like, I didn't expect him to struggle that much with the Florida man. I thought it would be an easy assassination, but it was like, it was a brawl.
Yeah, it was a brawl.
it almost needed to be to like show that he wasn't at the top of his game, right? Like it had to be.
Yeah. I mean, I was like kind of right in that decline like part, where he's clearly like off his normal game and just kind of improvising, like the thing he kept saying not to do. He kept like repeating to not improvise, but anticipate, not improvise. But then he just kept improvising.
He kept like, I just don't even understand. He was just so... Okay, so the whole entire motivation was he missed a shot, and then the boss man, the lawyer boss man, basically said, we're going to scrub him, meaning kill him and his girlfriend and his family, right? Like, that was the goal?
Yeah. I believe that's
and
what
failed.
was the intent.
And well, the whole movie is him going against his whole thesis, right? Of basically, this is a job, get in, get out. He just basically went all personal, which I understand given the situation, and was improvising from there on out because he was going against everything. It wasn't a job, but he kept treating it like it was because he had to get back at him or get rid of him, I guess.
Were they saying that Tilda Swinton was there with Florida Man beating up his wife or his girlfriend in Colombia?
No, I don't think so.
There was like layers of bureaucracy
here.
Involved?
I don't know how she was involved.
She was the head of the lawyer guy, and then the rich guy hired her and then she worked on down to the, I guess. I don't know.
Because, like, I don't understand why his girlfriend was alive at all. Like, if you got an assassin, this Florida assassin, coming down to Colombia literally to kill you, why is she alive?
I mean, she just seemed like particularly tough is kind of how I gauge it.
I don't know how any of them... How any of them would have even felt remotely safe knowing that he was still out and about. Like, the lawyer guy said, I figured you disappeared. Like, what made him think that would be the case?
Maybe he didn't know he had a girl that would have been attacked. Maybe he thought that this Florida man would go down there, no one would be there, and voila, we tried to scrub it. We got an extra $125,000. I think that's what he charged him, or $150,000 to attempt the scrub. The scrub didn't work out, such is life. The guy's in hiding. Everyone's happy. I think that was the idea behind it, but it didn't work out because the guy's girlfriend was there and she got the crap kicked out of her. And so he goes and he tries to figure out what happened. But did he really need to figure out what happened? Because he knew it was all at the hands of his boss man, right? So what I'm saying, Barrett, is he goes down and he hunts down the cabbie and he shoots the cab driver. Remember that?
Right.
Why did that cab driver have to die? Like,
I was kind of like, I guess just because he's like a witness. I mean, I guess he knows where he lives or something. Right, yeah, exactly. It just seemed like kind of he's a killer. That was what I kind of justified. I was like, I guess.
If he knew that his boss was the one that initiated it, why didn't he just go straight there and forget about the cabbie? Maybe he thought the cabbie had more to do with it than he actually...
Yeah, why exactly? What reason would the cabbie have to ever let anybody know where he lived? As long as you got rid of the boss, who would try to, I guess, get a hold of the cabbie in the future to find out where he lived or whatever.
Hodges
that does make sense. I get what you're saying.
Didn't that lead to the information that sort of led him?
Maybe
but
that's
he knew who Hodges was because he was talking on the phone about how the thing hadn't gone. It's a little bit of like a plot gap that was annoying me a little bit.
Yeah, that was
interesting.
I just
didn't really
yeah.
understand why, other than just to like have another interesting murder scene, like to show how meticulous he was. Like, why did he take the?
I think that was the major purpose that was serving. That he was all about what he was doing, and he couldn't have any empathy, right? Because that character, you could have argued, deserved empathy because he didn't know what was going on, right? And it was trying to show that he set the precedence that he was not going to have empathy even when it was necessary.
But then he ends up having empathy for the client.
That's true.
At the very end.
But that was because that's later.
Yeah.
He's breaking his rules and he's cracking, that's sort of like his arc.
Well, did he have empathy for the last... It felt like he had empathy for the last guy because, like, the guy, the way he reacted to him being there, right?
He said, I'll know when I see his eyes.
And he saw his eyes, and the guy didn't... Was it that the guy didn't assume he was going to get killed like the others? He just assumed he would get out of it? Or?
I think the guy didn't necessarily know what to scrub would be. And I think by the eyes, he knew that the guy never intended to kill him. Right? He never intended for anyone to die other than the original person that he had paid someone to kill. Like,
he could definitely tell from that interaction, like, what that guy knew about, like, how much he knew about what he was.
So is that why he would kill the taxi driver? Because he was guilty of more than
Maybe
just being the
he
driver?
Well, I think
Maybe
that
he
was just
in on it
earlier.
more?
I think that was before times, before he started
before he
sort of
had
breaking
that
apart
judgment.
more,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, before
I
he started
think,
to unwind, essentially.
Yeah, right, unwinding.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, we haven't even talked. Like, honestly, I thought one of the coolest parts that, like, I don't know why, but it was so cool. Like, the lady, and this was empathy again coming through. Hodge's assistant. She says, "Please do it right. Don't make it look wrong. My kids need the insurance money."
Yeah.
And he did. He listened.
Yeah.
He made it look like she broke her neck falling down the stairs.
That was kind of like the first time that
interesting. No, I
the
didn't
first time
catch
he
that.
kind of broke a rule, right? Because that didn't make a lot of sense for him to do it that way.
No.
It would have been probably
That was just
well. He
empathy.
needed some information from her, I guess, because they went to
Yeah,
the
but normally
the
he would have
house.
shot her. He would have just shot her or something.
Yeah.
And he could have just
Whatever.
went to her house and got the information without her, I would assume.
It's
or-
not just that, Carrie. Normally, he would have gotten rid of the body. She would have just disappeared, like Hodges.
Yes, you're
did.
right,
Like everyone else he
yes.
killed.
Yeah,
the
go
body
on the ferry.
disappears,
Yeah.
right? Cuts him up, whatever. But with her, he made it look like an accident. She's going to be found dead in her house, falling downstairs. Her kids will get the life insurance money, and he will have granted her wish, which is not in character, but it was such an awesome way to show him starting to have some empathy for people. I thought that was really cool. I'm
That is
surprised you
cool.
didn't catch
I
that.
totally didn't catch that. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it was really cool.
It's pretty neat.
And just the way he did it, like I wasn't expecting it. Right?
It's true,
Like, I
because
thought-
there was a tinge of wondering if he was going to let her go. I felt like, right, because the way she was helping, she was like accepting of what was happening, but you could tell she wanted out, like, and, obviously, and then like the way it happened, because if I believe right, it was like in the dark, kind of almost in the corner of the screen or almost off screen, right, and then it
he
just
was
kind of
right
happened.
behind her. They were like walking towards the steps, and right when they got to the top of the steps, he grabs her neck.
It was
twists
very
cracks
sudden,
it,
like-
she falls down the stairs, dead at the bottom.
Which was almost in a way, right, also being kind, right, like she didn't know, I guess, in this sense,
Instinct.
she didn't know it was coming. She wasn't sitting there knowing it was going to happen, like the
Yep.
the lawyer guy, like when he saw it approach him, he kind of
Or
knew, and then he
Tilda.
sat there in it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought that was a really smart and cool part. Like, I just like, I watched it, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, that is so cool that he just did that, and like, he did his thing where he had to keep the mess clean and he had to get rid of the witness, but he also did it in a way that was like empathetic and out of character. So I thought
Which is
that-
such a weird thing to
that's a
say. He
surprise.
empathetically murdered someone.
Like, what a sweet guy.
What a
It's funny
sweetheart.
that like you can even find empathy in a murder. Doesn't that kind of
Well,
mean
isn't
he
that
did
what
good
makes
job?
a good? Isn't that what kind of makes a good film like this good? Is
Yeah.
that like Dexter or whatever? Is the fact that you see the humanity in these people and the
Dexter was good for a while.
Yeah, it was good for
Yeah,
quite a
for a
while.
while.
Like the fact that he was pretty much a superhero if you think about Dexter. He was Batman, except he was just a serial murder Batman. Like Batman was killing people all the time. They just didn't talk about it much because he was killing bad guys, right?
Yeah,
That's all
yeah,
Dexter was doing
exactly.
at first,
Yeah.
right? Like it was just killing bad
Direct
dudes.
it in the right way.
But he had to talk about that he was maybe Batman was also a hidden serial murderer. He just didn't talk about it like Dexter did in the TV show at least.
Yeah.
I would say do you guys seen the movie The Matador? I think it's like a maybe 2003 movie with
I vaguely remember
Pierce Brosnan,
I don't think
Greg
I saw it.
Kinnear.
I saw it back in the day. It's like a trippy
Yeah, yeah.
movie, or no? I'm getting it mixed up with The Fall. If you've seen The Fall for some reason, I don't know
I
why.
don't think I've seen that fall.
I think I've seen The
this is
Matador,
basically
but it's
like
been
my-
20 years.
Okay, yeah, it might be a good double feature kind of thing. I remember that I watched that relatively recently. It holds up quite well. Just like like the declining Hitman. I feel like it's my favorite Pierce Brosnan film by far because it's such a like unexpected one. You look at the trailer and it's like the worst trailer of all time. It has the worst box art of all time, and then kind of comes into the surprise. You've not seen it, I'm assuming, Dave.
No, I've not seen it.
The Matador. Yeah.
No.
Anyway.
But I've
Speaking-
seen the box art. I've
Recommended.
seen it at yard sales. So-
Speaking of the worst
Yeah, I think you
trailer
might
ever,
like it generally.
Okay.
a little tangent, guys. Like, I feel like the trailer game has just died in like the last 10 years. Like, a trailer just. Some of these movies are so terrible, they just tell you the whole movie in the trailer.
The whole story. The whole
Like
freaking
Aquaman.
story.
The Aquaman is literally the whole movie. Literally the whole movie. I'm like, what is the
That's-
point of
oh,
even saying?
man.
Like, I already knew what was going to
Yeah.
happen, basically. But it's
I
like
think I
everything
saw
has to be
a
spoon
trailer
fed.
to
This
Aquaman.
trident's powerful. Like, just leave a little mystery, a little bit.
It was
It's an
wild the
art.
amount of stuff going on in that trailer.
Exactly.
Like,
It's just like, look at
wow.
all this stuff. Are you entertained?
Right, please.
They
Watch.
had this trailer. I don't know if you saw it, Carrie, for this movie called Madam Web that's coming out.
Yes, I've seen
I
that
feel like I
several
saw the
times.
whole movie. I
Yeah,
feel like
I know what's
gonna
gonna
happen.
happen.
The whole movie just watching.
It's a
that
good
trailer.
point. Like I feel like I was thinking about that earlier today. How just like when was the last time I watched a trailer for a movie that I then, or that I wanted to watch a trailer for a movie that I would then go watch. I think I gave up on it a long time ago because of the exact thing you're talking about. It was getting bad a long time ago, and like, boy, has it gotten even worse. Like,
Well,
it's
Oppenheimer
crazy.
did not spoil the film so much.
Well,
so
you
that I didn't even know what to
anticipated a totally
expect.
different movie. That is true. There's people
So
still
that's a
doing it.
risk.
Well, it wasn't like the early Oppenheimer trailers just basically focused on like the
countdown.
goggles and the explosion. Like
Yeah,
that was a really
countdown
brilliant.
and
see
mushroom
that.
cloud, and
But that was a
what threw me
brilliant
off.
trailer, though. That was a brilliant trailer. Just
Yeah,
like
it is.
it showed the grandeur of the spectacle of what that was, and the stakes and everything without.
I didn't see
basically
it, but I
having,
can imagine that working.
Yeah, without
right.
giving you like a 40-minute voiceover telling you the whole plot. You just kind of went, oh, something's
First
happening. It's
so-and-so
obviously a nuclear.
dies. Yeah, no. Yeah, you're right. I think it was a good trailer. Like I said, I do think the trailer is part of the reason I didn't like Oppenheimer as much as I could have, is because I was so misled by the trailer. It was almost like clickbait of trailers, in a sense, where it was like just showing the bomb and counting down from 10 and a huge explosion. I'm just like, oh, this is a movie. about
You
huge
forgot that the movie was
Like-
about a scientist.
But
and
I,
he wasn't.
I didn't even know there
not
was
Rambo.
such. I didn't even know there was such a scientist when I went and saw the film. So yes, I did forget that. I just thought maybe that was the name of the bomb.
I mean, you're probably not the only one, honestly.
No,
I mean,
come on, we're
Yeah, I'm
pretty
sure.
dumb
Yeah,
society.
yeah. I didn't know who Oppenheimer was.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever.
But here's what I got from Aquaman. They're getting attacked again, and he needs his brother to help to teach him how to be a real king.
Dude, I hated the first Aquaman.
And
I
he's
don't know
sexy,
if I
has
can
long
watch
hair.
the second one. He is sexy.
Oh man, I can't
and
imagine
he uses
watching one
various
of
products.
those.
He does. We have shots of him with your Barrett's products. So.
Yeah, I do like Jason Momoa, but I'm not going to watch an Aquaman film. I don't think.
Unless
Anytime soon.
ChatGPT makes you.
Yeah, I feel like I may end
Get
up
the
seeing
Cliff Notes.
Just just because there's nothing else to watch. That's the problem. Like
there's
Wonka
gonna
looks
be
terrible.
less
Am I the only one who thinks Wonka looks absolutely horrible?
Okay, so here's the thing with Wonka.
Sorry, we're
So
going on a
Charlie and the
tangent, I
Chocolate
know.
Factory. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I probably watched 3,000 times, the original one, right? Where his grandparents are all in bed and stuff, weirdly, like some sort of swinger convention. Okay, so that movie was like a staple of my childhood, and then they Tim Burtoned it, which not a fan of Tim Burtonized movies, to be honest with you. Like I don't think. Maybe Edward Scissorhands, the only Tim Burton film I've ever really liked. There might be some.
But
more
you could at
things
least
that-
to see
Nightmare Before
you-
Christmas stuff.
You
I
could
don't know,
kind of
like
see a
that-
reason for that. Like at least they got an artistic vision and they went for it. And whether you like that style or not, that's
I
just
did not
whether you like it.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
wasn't for me.
yeah.
And so for me, this one like at least isn't Tim Burtonized, so I'm gonna give it a shot. And I like
probably
that
will
it's
too.
I like that it's a new story. I like that it's not just the same story. It's
Okay,
him
it's
as
not
a
the
kid.
same one.
It's him
But
as
do-
a kid, like getting his rise to chocolate fame.
Where
Willy Wonka.
how many origin movies do we
Skinny.
need though? Like, do we need it?
Yeah, I'm with
We
you,
need
Carrie.
Aquaman, too.
Like
No, we don't
there
need that
isn't-
either. I'm cool with not doing either if they can go back.
Yeah, isn't there like value in not redoing things?
Isn't
Like
that
in
the
my
whole
mind, there's
mystery
a
of,
lot
like-
of value in not redoing things. It's like
That's the Star Wars.
thankfully
argument.
we haven't had another 2001 Space Odyssey or whatever. I guess there was a sequel to it, but it's like that just kind of gets that just gets left in its on its own, and it gets to be appreciated, I feel like, so much better.
But they're gonna like destroy everything, right? Like they have no idea.
It
Pretty
feels
much.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
just like every property
like
is up
movie-
for grabs at some point.
What's the word?
Sadly.
Entropy? Like movie entropy? It's just like they're just
Entropy, yes.
yeah, it's just destroying everything slowly over
eventually
time.
just kind of, it entropizes.
Enterprises, Entropods.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that for me, like, I will watch that, Carrie. I will watch it because I think
I probably will too. To be fair,
It's a unique enough like take, and I don't know the backstory at all of Willy Wonka, and I think it'd be interesting to hear it. Kind of like a weird one, Cruella, the Disney movie Cruella. I don't know if
I
you
didn't
saw
hate
that.
Cruella though.
It was
whatever
pretty
reason.
good.
It was pretty solid.
good. Because I didn't know, like, Cruella was just the villain of this 101 Dalmatian movie, and I didn't know her story, really. And they did, I think, a pretty good job of creating a story where, like, you could be like, oh, I understand why she is the way she is. You start to feel some empathy towards the villain and understand why she became who she became in the cartoon that you loved as a kid. So, like, I think if they do it right, the Wonka movie could be good. It could be.
I just didn't love the trailer for some about it, maybe.
Great.
But yeah, I'm definitely going to give it a try, mostly because of a lack of options. I don't feel like there's going to be and I love Christmas time, going to movies. Almost every year I do like 3 movies in the theater with Dawn, and then I don't know what other options we're going to have. So,
I mean, I've been seeing some movies. I don't know if anyone else saw Hunger Games, Songbirds of Sparrows.
Yep.
What's it called?
It felt like
Song of
because
Ice and Fire.
It was another origin
that's
story. It was another origin story that I felt was just paled in comparison, and I enjoyed it, but it didn't need to exist, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it though.
Yeah.
It was still good enough.
And this it's the same vein. So Barry, I think you watched the newer Hunger Game movies with Kristen, right? At some point,
like
the current ones, the originals, 2012, 2013.
Yeah, the originals. Okay, yeah.
Did you read the books or listen to the books?
No. I think we just watched the first film, watched some of the second one, and then dwindled on the third one.
Third was garbage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Carrie, like, if you look, and I think the third one broke into 2 movies, right? It was like Mockingjay Part 1, Part 2. I mean, I think this was better than that film, the third and fourth film. I thought this was better than the third and fourth film.
That's good.
I've listened to the book. I've listened to all the books. And this is also based on a book. I don't know if you knew that, but this is a prequel book that came out.
But she made the book after the original
Yeah.
Hunger Games, correct?
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like what J.K. Rowling has done going back.
Exactly. So, Barry, you may remember the bad guy in Hunger Games is the mayor. He wears a full white suit, white
Donald
hair.
Sutherland, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he's got, like, the rose. He's always got the rose, and he's leaving the rose and things like that. And this is, again, it's very similar to Cruella. It harkens back to him as a child, as he's still, like, at that moment where he's deciding if he's a good or a bad guy, right? It's like, is he for the Hunger Games? Is he against the Hunger Games? And I do, for me who's read all the books, like, I liked the idea of finding out more about Snow because they allude to him in the books, the original books, and say that, he once had to, sponsor one of the contestants, and he was in love with a contestant from one of the higher numbered districts, and so that was always intriguing to me. They had alluded to it in the other movie or the other books, and so I was ready for this. So as soon as the book came out, I sat there and I listened to it. I've listened to it twice, and it's a really good book. It really is. Like, she's a good writer. A lot of the new stuff J.K. Rowling came out with after Harry Potter is not good. Like, for some reason, J.K. Rowling had that one idea, and she can't seem like all the Fantastic Beasts and stuff. They suck. They're just really not good.
Not a fan, yeah.
Yeah.
Of the movies, anyway.
But Suzanne Collins, I think, actually is a pretty solid writer who could continue to make good and engaging stories in this world as much as she wanted, and I hope she does. Because I thought, as someone who loved that book, they did a really good job of replicating the book, Carrie. Like, you don't need to listen to the book. They got the majority of it in there.
Do you know what the main issue I have with these kind of movies? And I don't know if this is going to be a slight tangent. Have you guys ever seen Sons of Anarchy?
Never.
It's a TV show. So Sons of Anarchy is a show about like this biker gang, and it becomes increasingly bloody over time. They have to kill everybody basically because there's all this treachery. And basically almost every single problem with this treachery could have been solved with like a simple 5-second text or a 3-minute conversation about feelings or thoughts, right? But they never talk. And I felt like this, especially at the end of Hunger Games, like if they could have just discussed a little bit of their emotions, a little bit of what they were going through, and didn't just jump to the most crazy of conclusions. It didn't. I felt like they kind of. I feel like just the ending, especially on that one, because I did enjoy the movie.
We're not going to spoil that, but I will say that in the book, that whole segment of
sure was better.
Yeah, it was much. It was like 6 hours of the book, and they did it in 25 minutes in the movie. And so they didn't do a good job of portraying the emotions and the reasoning behind all that was going on there. And when you read the book, it made a lot of sense. I'm trying to do this without spoilers. So I would say this, like, his constant battle for like 6 hours of the audiobook was this desire to have power and fame and wealth battling against his love for this girl. Okay,
and he didn't convey it well in the movie.
No, it did not.
It's just like he wants to be back home, but they don't really show why. I mean, he has a family, I get it, but you do see that he loves this girl a lot. Yeah. That's what you see. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like it's equal, but yet he's fighting with it like it is.
And if you like listen to the book, basically, like his dad was the ruler of the Pan Am or whatever. Right?
Yeah, they vaguely talk about it in the movie.
You know, he's got these huge expectations to become the ruler one day, and the key to doing that is like going to this college, which he can't afford because there's no money left behind because of just a series of unfortunate events. So like he's broke and just needs to get into this school, which they kind of talked about. And anyways, like I agree, they didn't do a good job in the film of explaining his motives and all the internal turmoil he was having between wanting to go back and live up to his, you know, expectations that his family has for him versus his love for this girl. And it ended up, the whole ending part just felt weird and uncomfortable and awkward and didn't make a lot of sense. And it did in the book. So I would say that's not Suzanne Collins' fault, the writer. I'd say that was maybe Hollywood's fault, that didn't come across well.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense because, like, I could see what they were trying to show. It just didn't. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't understand it with the story they were actually showing on the screen.
Yeah. But I think, like, okay, so, and I will say I did have this issue with the book as well. Like, there's a Hunger Games, and then there's a whole bunch after the Hunger Games. And generally in Hunger Games movies, it's like when the Hunger Games are over, the movie's over. And that's, you want to go in, like, understanding that, no, that's not the case in this book or in this film. Like, when the Hunger Games is over, the book is not over, the movie is not over. There's still quite a bit to play out, quite a bit to learn more about Snow and, you know, how he becomes who he is and all this other stuff. So I think a lot of people, like even my daughter, she was like, why did they have so much after the Hunger Games? And I was just like, well, that's just the way that story is. Like, it's not all encompassing the Hunger Games because he wasn't even in the Hunger Games. He's just, you know, a guy who's there, and a Hunger Games happens at some point in his story, but it's not the whole story.
Yeah, I felt a lot like there was a beginning, and it needed to end with him being evil and the start of him being the leader or whatever, ruler that was terrible, right? It needed to get from that point A to point B, and that just in the middle, like you knew the whole time it was going to happen, and it didn't convince me why it happened, if that makes sense. You knew it was going to end up there, and it felt like they gave up at the end almost, and he's a horrible person when it didn't feel like he was most of the movie. You know
I don't know,
I mean?
even in the book, if he really truly became evil at the end. It almost feels like it's open to like another story that takes him even further.
Definitely need another one, yeah.
Right? Like, because he doesn't, even at the end of the book, he's not like cut and dry a bad guy. And same in the movie, he's not cut and dry a bad guy by the end of this film. But like you can kind of start to see some of the questionable choices he's starting to make, some of the enemies he's making, and the way he's treating people, and you're just like, oh, he's kind of becoming icky. But he doesn't get full icky like he is in the other movies that came out years ago. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. Again, I thought Napoleon was a better film, but this was a great popcorn movie. If you like the Hunger Games, you're going to enjoy this.
How would Napoleon fare in the Hunger Games? How would he do? How would Napoleon do in the Hunger Games? Do you think he'd survive?
Yeah, personally,
he'd probably win. Oh, what were you going to say, Barrett?
No, that was a great question. I don't know.
I think he'd win. Yeah, he'd find a way. He's short, stout.
That's a Hunger Games I would definitely watch. I was just going to say that, like, I don't know. I think, like you, Dave, can't get along with like Christopher Nolan movies or whatever for whatever reason. These movies, they just have a thing about them that I can't get over.
Well, they're pretty like
like the names, like they're goofy,
Katniss,
you know. I like
Pita.
Pita. He's a pita bread, and he builds a cake, and he protects himself, you know, by caking himself into a mud wall somewhere. I just remember that. I was like, wait.
Dude, that was not in the book, though. Hold on.
Okay.
That was not
fair enough. Fair enough. But I'm just talking about the movies. That's all I've seen.
I really do love that genre, though. It immediately puts stakes on things, and I guess for whatever reason, very quickly compelling to me. much like like I've talked about Alice in Borderland, or like the original Japanese version of that was based, I think Hunger Games was based on. Forgot what, Battle Royale.
Yeah, Battle Royale.
And then like even Squid Games is kind of feels like a cousin to this movie. Like these people who don't want to be involved in a murder game basically, or entertainment, or stuck in this, and how do they survive and how do they make it? I find that like
isn't that the short story or whatever, like Most Dangerous Game, that old short story that everybody read in school?
I don't remember that one, but that sounds like it'd be a good book. For sure.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that kind of premise. Yeah.
My brother Carrie did tell me
author.
about a movie that sounds like you'd be instantly into on Netflix. He said it was really good, or it's a series, I think. All of Us Are Dead. Have you heard of this series?
I have.
It's a Korean series on Netflix where a high school becomes ground zero for a zombie virus outbreak. Creator is Lee J.Q. I don't know. Supposedly he said it's like all subtitled, but he said it's like really good, kind of Hunger Games-esque. And,
yeah, see that premise, like zombies stuff, like
zombies
before it starts to get in, because like every zombie TV show, like I love the original premise of zombies, like fighting the undead, right? But then like Walking Dead got into the basic stuff. You're dealing with other humans trying to kill you. It always comes down to the politics, and like you're in a, it always goes to the same thing because they can only do the zombie thing for so long. Yeah.
Right.
So that initial part, I really do. I find it compelling. I don't know, like how you would react, how you would try to survive. Like there's something very inherently compelling about that premise to me for some reason.
We got teased a little bit
because I know I would die immediately. I wouldn't make it at all at any point. I'd be the dude in the background. 3 seconds into the zombie apocalypse, they just get, like, remember the running zombies in World War Z, and they would just, like, run at you and slam you into, like, the van? That's me. I'm the guy slammed into the van.
Yeah. I have terrible cake making skills. I wouldn't last a minute.
Barrett, have you seen Squid Game?
I have not, no.
Oh, really?
Dude.
Like that. I don't know if you'd like that.
The Squid Game, the game show just came out on Netflix.
That was a tease, bro. That was such a freaking tease. I hate that. That's
I loved
such
it.
Bull crap. No,
I really enjoyed it.
Dude,
I don't know why.
Biggest loser-fied Squid Game. This like
I don't know. Maybe I'm
awesome,
simple, but I really enjoyed it.
They literally turned it into a reality TV show, Barrett. And me and my brother said they literally were calling it Squid Game Season 2. And me and my brother were like, oh, cool, a Squid Game
No,
Season 2.
they're still doing Season 2.
I know.
They're still doing the regular
but I thought it was coming out this week because I saw that. And then I go watch the trailer, and it's like some bros like, yo,
dude,
bro, I'm in this.
I'm not joking, Dave. Did you watch it? Did you watch it, Dave?
Stupid as crap.
Dude, it's really good. I'm not joking. Like this, it's the best game show I've seen. I'm being serious. I don't know why.
Mr. Beast's version of it.
Yeah, I would say yes. I would say yes. I did watch that. I don't know what it is about it. There's a certain premise. There's certain aspects to it that are very reality show and game showy, but certain aspects of it, and I can't even put my finger on it. I binged it, and I haven't binged anything on Netflix for a while, like a long time.
I don't want to. I'd rather watch this.
It's funny what sort of circle we're in, like, because I would say because of Mr. Beast's videos, why I totally lost interest in seeing Squid Game. I feel like if Mr. Beast makes a video like that, it drains.
I
had already watched it by the time he did that. I had already watched it.
The authenticity is gone, and it's been fully marketed and fully
I didn't really
marketed
enjoy
and exploited.
I didn't really enjoy the Mr. Beast one. I didn't really enjoy it. But it was just the fact that he did it in a week, and they took 2 years, and they deliver a reality show instead of season 2. It just annoys me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What I do wonder is if they're basing some aspects of season 2 off the inevitable season 2 of this game show. Like, are they trying to make the games work so that they could work in the game show as well? That would be bad if they did that.
That would be bad if it actually affected. I don't think so, though. I think it's a whole
different. The funniest part, I will say, the stupidest part of the game show, though, the corniest part is when they're eliminated. There's like a ink pack in their that's on their body, and it explodes, and then they act like they die, like Play Dead. No joke. You would hate that, Dave. 100%. That would annoy the hell out of you.
Premise of it, because I honestly thought Barrett, that the show itself, the Squid Game show, like, I'd be shocked if you didn't like that show. I really
think I saw some scenes from it. They looked really high quality. Like it looked like the best
really
kind
good.
of South Korean cinema, talent
I'd
is
be
kind of
pretty surprised if you didn't like that story and the story that they tell in that film. Or that show. Like
I will
really-
say, like the scene I saw, I was kind of like, okay, this is clearly better than I at least had built up in my head or whatever. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah. It was just Mr. Beast. Like I said, he has a great power
to make you disinterested.
To make me
Yeah,
disinterested.
he's the entire reason why I won't go on a $1 flight or $1 million flight. I refuse to do either.
Oh, dude, I don't even get me started. Like, he did a video
point.
recently, like, trying jobs from $100,000 to $100 million, and I'm like, most people don't even have a $100,000 job, Jimmy. Like, what are you doing starting at $100K? Like, what?
Oh, man.
Like, you're skipping the vast majority of
Chumps.
jobs.
And he's also not really doing the job
The
either.
third
He's just,
job he's doing is engineer for NASA, and I'm like, really? Like, that's...
he's pantomiming a job,
that's
basically.
middle.
Yeah, middle class, $300,000 a year people, you know?
That's the
In
interesting.
Jimmy's world.
I foresee.
man.
I can't imagine he can do these kind of videos forever. Like, there's gonna come a point where people are tired of it. Like, they want
he
like
AI?
authenticity
Like,
and are
Is
his
he
videos
just an AI? Because I
he
feel
might
like
be at this point.
he might be one of the that might be one of the types of
fake.
content channels that if we just let the AI run wild, I kind of have a feeling
Oh,
might get something like that. Oh, look at that!
Inception, guys, Inception.
Whoa, look at my. That was a funny face I was making there.
I was trying to pull up ChatGPT, but I was having issues. Let me see if I can get it to pull up here.
We
here
did
it
like
is.
a full solid 25 minutes on the killer though, so that was pretty good. And then 30
I
minutes
think
on
I'm sensing a
randomness.
trend.
Listen, okay, I'll say
We
this.
allow ourselves to go
So,
on tangents, right?
I mean,
Sure
this is
do.
going to be like the Killer or Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which was better, I guess. Like, 'cause that's mostly what we talked about. Listen,
that's
for
fine.
the Killer, I loved the sound design and visuals, and I think you should watch it on your best television with the lights off, with the sound cranked up. And I'm
Totally.
pretty much guaranteeing you'll like it, even if you've seen very similar movies in the past, because I think they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
technically.
If you're into like a crime drama, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you have to be at least into
If
that.
you're okay with,
I mean, the
yeah,
title
murder.
kind of gets it out of the way. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
sort of like, well,
That's
if you
true.
don't
They don't
a
bury
movie
the
called
lead.
Killer.
It's they
Yeah,
don't bury the
right.
lead at all.
Okay, so what do we want to... We're going to let ChatGPT pick our next film. What are you guys feeling? Like, oh, you know what? There's ChatGPT 4 now. Okay?
Oh,
Oh,
what's the
oh.
difference?
Should
What
we
is the difference?
Should we
I was
upgrade?
gonna ask if you're on for. 'cause-
Is it gonna?
oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Is it gonna ask us? Is it gonna read our thoughts or something? What's it do?
So we're going to have to give it a little context into what we do here. We have a movie review podcast, and we let AI pick our... Oops. Yeah, that's right. Oh, now I'm in cap locks films.
It's weird, but all right. Seems like you're upset about it.
Can
But
you please pick the next movie we should review? Right? Let's just ask ChatGPT 4 and see what it says.
Okay.
Yeah,
see what it
see how
does.
much more
Good luck.
upgraded it is from 3.5.
no way,
dude, we
no
just
way,
watched- no, we're not
no
doing
way. We're gonna. Do we have? Do we have the free will to reject it?
I feel like we have to. We can't have our 5th episode be Blade Runner again.
2049.
Okay,
Man.
let me...
This
prep-
AI is so obsessed with itself. Can we not? Can we just like kind of circle back to
Can we
that
get
point?
another movie? Not that one. Is there a sequel to
Can
Big
you ask
Lebowski?
it stop being so self-absorbed, Chat GPT? Like, can you have a movie about, I don't know, people? Maybe
See, this might be the
Every-
thing. Since you started a new chat log, it doesn't have all the back history that we have.
Totally. Yeah, it's just starting fresh.
Not so AI focused.
I didn't pick a movie that's not so AI
The
focused.
Grand Budapest Hotel. There we go.
Oh,
We're gonna get a
gosh.
Wes Anderson
Oh,
movie.
no. This is like
That is
asking Jared
stylized.
to watch Aquaman, making me watch Wes Anderson. It's very similar as
Oh,
far as
man.
the level of hate.
Yeah, everything's gonna be
Well,
very
I
stylized.
mean, we don't have to.
No, let's do
Like,
it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
The guy in that sang that California song is gonna have a
I've never
swirly
seen it.
mustache or
I've
something.
never seen it. I might like it. I might like it. At least, like, the last time I saw a Wes Anderson movie, I thought I was going to see Quentin Tarantino. And so I was really
Oh, man.
disappointed. I was really like, for some
That's
reason,
right.
I had mixed them up, and I went. I was
That's
like,
a
I'm going
wild-
to see a Tarantino film, and I saw a
Yeah,
Wes Anderson film.
polar
and I'm like,
opposite.
Oh, I
you
They are
saw
both stylized.
Asteroid City.
Asteroid
right?
City. I saw Asteroid.
You
And
thought
that- and that's
Asteroid
like-
Cities was a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Was going to be Pulp Fiction.
I thought it was
You
gonna be
need-
like Pulp Fiction with like murder and all this other
You
stuff.
need
and I'm
help,
just like,
dude. You need help with
Crazy.
your expectations of movies. You go in really
It's
weird,
wild.
like thinking it's something it's not even close to. Did you see
yeah,
the
yeah,
preview?
it's like a theme.
Did you see
Did I see the
Asteroid
previews?
City's preview? It looked very non-Tarantino-esque.
I didn't. Greg really wanted to see it, and
Dude, it's
so I just went and
half
saw
a
it.
second into a Wes Anderson trailer, you know it's Wes Anderson. Half a second in,
Absolutely, yeah,
there's a
more than
quirky
anyone else.
character with a weird, like a color palette in the background that's very like, I don't know, like Easterish. I don't know. Like it's always
Have you
very.
seen
Yeah,
this movie,
right.
Grand Budapest Hotel? Have you seen it?
I
Greg?
haven't. No, I haven't.
Okay, so
I have. I honestly, I think that you have maybe of all Wes Anderson's movies, you have the best chance of enjoying this one. Maybe
Okay.
I think
might
it might
say.
be his
But
most.
then that'll totally wreck your expectations. You'll be like, this sucked. But who knows?
No.
But at least it has like a story that is linear and
There-
you can follow.
Okay.
You know,
It's
it's like
gonna-
has a couple characters that you follow through, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think
It's
you
gonna
might-
be a
you might
lot
find
like
that a
what
little
you
easier to
thought-
lock into.
It's going to be a lot like what you thought Oppenheimer was going to be. A lot like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of action.
Yeah.
Okay, so this I've predicted this. This is gonna turn into a podcast, and I want it to, where we talk about my bad taste in movies eventually down the road, like episode 70.
just gotta-
that'll
we
just
have-
be like the recurring
have-
joke: Dave's bad taste in movies.
I feel like AI is going to lead us where this podcast needs to go
Yeah, exactly.
until it takes over total control.
I will say this, because ChatGPT 4 can access like the web. I think it would be interesting next week to ask it to find a new movie that's like just out this week.
Like
You know,
maybe-
we'll do
yeah.
that we
Yeah.
should go see, and we could actually like make us go to see a movie that's like new and out in the theater.
Okay.
That would be kind of a fun experiment to try with.
It's going to be interesting to see, yeah, because like it won't have anything but the very latest talk about
Like the
the movie.
reviews and the
You know,
buzz.
it won't have
Exactly,
this
yeah.
historical context of all this writing that's happened
Exactly.
with it. Yeah, that'll be
So
interesting.
that could be a fun thing to try. But I'm down to try Grand Budapest Hotel. I've never seen it. It could be good. It could be the first Wes Anderson joint. Although a lot of people tell me that I would like the one with the animated like claymation stuff.
Oh,
Like
the
his-
Fox
I
one or
wouldn't
whatever.
have said that. I wouldn't have said that
You
as
wouldn't
much.
have? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
I've never seen
yeah.
that either. But yeah, we're gonna watch, guys. Join us in the Grand Budapest Hotel. Watch it,
Mhm.
and we're
It's
gonna
a good
discuss
movie.
it in next week's show. Yeah, we're all gonna watch it. We're all gonna love it. I'm gonna love it. I'm determined to like this film.
You're going to hate it. He's going to hate it, guys.
Yeah, he
He's
is gonna
gonna
hate it,
absolutely
yeah.
hate
Hey,
it.
but you know what? Watch The Killers, because that actually was like legit. If you haven't seen it, go see that.
You know, if you got nothing else
Singular,
to
The
do.
Killer.
If you got nothing
The
else to
Killers
do.
is the band.
The Killers is a
Killers
great
is
band.
great.
My favorite
Yes.
all time.
Thank
Go
you guys
Vegas.
for watching. Thank you for the 1% that click. And we'll
Thank
see you
you,
next
guys.
time.